There are usually four ways that diviners attack and target people, especially those who are born again. And there are some solutions at the end of this to keep it brief. First and foremost, you have witches, as well as all the other flavors of occult agents, those who work the dark arts, especially false prophets, that have familiar spirits, including monitoring spirits, that they operate by and loose towards people, places, and things to gather information and influence their environment too. That's where you have people going up to you trying to find out your personal business and being nosy for the wrong kind of reasons at the wrong kind of time, to where it gets a little too suspicious. And you're trying to figure out what's up with this person. So what they'll do is, in general, when they want to go push your buttons, they'll bring some other demons with them too, other entities, to go up and give you some trouble. For example, mocking spirits, unbelief, disbelief, hate, racism, strife, contention, reviling, and others that they can use and stir up to turn people away from a believer, someone who's born again of the Ruach HaKodesh. Anything they can do to employ and loose and influence people, even to arouse and rise up in them, to influence. That way they can turn people from hearing someone who's born again, to keep them from hearing the good news. Even to go break up a conversation and try to steal the crowd from that individual, especially to stir them up against the believer. Anything they can do to try to hijack what they got, because they can't get it legitimately themselves, and especially if they're hired by the devil himself or his kingdom of all different ranks, to go cause trouble. That way the agent can enjoy their, or try to get their fix, their cookie, the temporary reward, whatever it may be, to snatch people away from the good news, as well as to turn people away from someone who's, by good chance, just better than them. Whether it be after the sword of the flesh or after the spirit. And some people who do the works of the occults, they love themselves some attention, some fame, some money, power, position, control over people, places, and things. They just they like to have the opportunity to elevate themselves, instead of turning to the Father for Him to elevate them in the righteous manner. 2, when they can detect someone who's of importance, or even someone who's born again, who's not underneath their control, especially, Either they themselves, the agent, or the demon, the entity using them, will give them ideas and start feeding them thoughts and so forth to consider and find out how can they go to work on that born again believer, that individual that's got more value than they do, especially in the spirit world, just waiting to happen. Someone who might get the promotion, someone who might get the relationship, that might get married, someone who might get the opportunity, someone who might get the investment and the growth, success, wherever it may be in their life, just waiting to happen, and they can't stand to see it come to fruition, so they want to rise up against it. So what they'll do is they'll get their antennas up, try to scope you or whoever it may be out, and try to interject themselves instead of introducing themselves like a decent individual. So when they interject themselves, they want to give you some kind of information that sounds like it could be true, whether it's faulty, where it has some faults and error to it, or it was straight out misinformation, where they were intentionally giving you bad information just to get your attention. What's the worst kind of person who's trying to give you a deal? A used car salesman. That shady car salesman who's trying to make you take the deal, hook, line, and sinker. They're really trying to peddle you something you do not need. But no, they have to either give you some bad information or make it sound good enough to try to make you take the deal, to try to get your consent. So they can get your consent, then in the spirit world, it's like saying a contract. So they can get your consent. They have written spiritual documentation against you to use that against you by any means. Just like a cop pulls you over and they ask for your permission to search your car, permission to do X, Y, and Z and so forth. And then that's when you gotta, like how you do with cops, say, am I being detained? If they say no, then you can ask them, am I free to go? And that's, at that point, they gotta let you go. And if they want to try it too, take them to the courts and get you a good little paycheck afterwards, if you know what you're doing. And me personally, on that matter, it's always good to reach out to the right people, you know. Get the right information so you know what to do in that step and that other step and so forth. With this, you gotta ask them, you gotta vet what they're presenting you. You have to try the spirits to know if it's of Elohim. You gotta, if you have to, on the conversational level, so they don't catch up to you and try to get deterred, to put it that way, to keep it on the formal and ask what they're really saying, ask for the legitimacy of their information and what they're about and so forth. Get them to spill the beans discreetly. Discreetly get them to tell their business. Oh yeah, we're We're getting some game right here. That's right. Get them to start talking. The more you get them to talk, the more they're gonna, you know, get out of their premise. The more they're gonna transgress whatever plan or scheme or design they had. Get them to talk. Get them to disclose their information about what they're doing, what their intents are, and so forth. And especially those of you who are born again, find out, is this sound at all what they're saying? Or is there confusion? Does it sound right? Is there something that doesn't set right with you or towards you in some kind of way? And you just find your exit plan from that conversation without giving any consent. And an example of that is where you say, let me think about this. I have to think about that. I'm not sure what you're saying here. I'll get back to you later on, or so forth. Something where you dismiss yourself. There's cases where you got to get raw with them. Tell them, hey, I don't get what you're saying here. I don't agree with what you're presenting to me. What you're saying to me doesn't sound right or doesn't rock with me. Whatever you're saying is not adding up. I'm not getting what you're saying here. And just dismiss yourself and find out from there. The more so, if you get a clue, if it was wrong, what they're presenting to you, it was off, suspect, and so forth. If they try to come up to you again and try to pitch you something new, or try to, slide in some game with you, try to slide in the little slickness towards your direction, then that's when you can catch and say, hey, wait a minute. They're really trying to get their foot in the door. They're really trying to sell you some snake oil and so forth. If they can't have a normal conversation with you, after that matter, they're really trying to slide in there. They're really trying to push up portfolio. They can't pull back, unwind, and have a conversation with you or communicate and be civil with you. That's a potential red flag right there for you. Step 2 or part 2. If they can scope you out and try to present you information, here's what they'll try to do too. So, if they can't get you to open yourself 100% completely, then what they'll do is they'll try to find some kind of pretense, some kind of excuse, some justifiable reason to present information about either you or someone else or something else. And if they're using or being used by familiar and monitoring spirits, then what they'll do is they'll try to, especially if they're trying to be religious, and you start to find out they have not been keeping the law, statutes, commandments, they have not been keeping the faith, and you find out their intent was to use information about you just so that they can control you, that's a big old red flag right there. When they're getting all this information They try to so-called be rash, be harsh when they are trying to quote unquote convict you or even try to make you feel guilty, even to go so far as to try to do some flavor of blackmail. You gotta back up from them right then and there. They're trying to put you in a corner and they're not trying to help you at all, period. They're really trying to get up over you. That's a dead giveaway. Something's wrong right there. You get away from them. You put a good, healthy amount of space and boundary between you and them. You don't entertain that. 4. Fourth part here, jumping from 3 to 4. Worst case scenario, they really have you convinced that they're there for your good and they're just presenting to you all this information as if they really care about you, as if they're concerned and are trying to so-called advance you or be for your advancement. Here's the thing. Why is it when they tell you these things that all of a sudden the wrong kind of things happen afterwards, either before or during the process of it? And all they got is a bunch of talk, but no legitimate solution. Interesting. Impressive. We blew the lid off of this joker, huh? You got them red-handed in the cookie jar. Put that demon on notice. So these individuals, just like Delilah in the Book of Judges, when she went to work on Samson, that was one of those high level of wicked women out there, or shall I say females, to be more precise. Not only was she just giving her body to him just so that she can get her reward, especially from the Philistines that were going to offer her a big, juicy paycheck. She was going in on him. She would try to find out his information, whatever it is, the old you, things that you probably forgot even was a part of you or you was involved in, especially if you was doing or involved in such things while in the faith. Just anything they can do that sounds accurate or sounds legitimate, either about the old you or something about your past, distant past, and even so far as to try to find out information about you, even after you've been born again. These people, these individuals working with those entities underneath the devil himself, just like in the book of Job, they want to go up to the courts in the seventh heaven, in the heavenlies, towards the courts, to go up there to accuse you and dress it up. They make it sound so good and so presentable, but afterwards, you don't really get that conviction. you don't really get that, okay, I need to, do something about this or change up what I'm doing here or what I'm saying. You don't really get that motivation from that towards that direction to make a positive change. They're just presenting information about you, and if they get sloppy, you back up and you say, "Hey, wait a minute," to some area of your thoughts, or you just pull back and realize this is this is not right. This is whatever they're doing here. That's not right. Because when they're trying to get that information, use it against you, especially if they can cause things to happen to you. Such as, for example, oh yeah, we're gonna pull the gloves off on this one right here. Like for example, you be having like someone maybe talking to you about something, and all of a sudden, something happens to you, and they're not trying to help you at all afterwards, or in the process of it. And let's say you have a recurring pattern of this, just strange, bizarre things that just don't sit well with you. And if they can, they'll tell you, hey, X, Y, and Z and so forth is happening, or it's going to happen, or X, or has happened to you before. And they're not really trying to help you. You may want to consider that a red flag, especially if they're trying to pull the whole game on you where they say, X, Y, and Z and so forth happened to you, either in the past, present, or it's going to happen. And it's just not being done the right way to help you at all, just so that they can get the burden off their back. So if whatever evil comes your way, or whatever evil they want to come to your way, or expect to manifest and happen, and not try to help you at all, period, just to throw that information out there so they don't have that condemnation, that guilt, that judgment to come upon them for being wicked like that. That's the first way they'll do it to you. They'll try to do what Delilah did to Samson, where they'll say, hey, the Philistines is upon you. And you say, hey, what? You're just surprised by that? And whenever it happens, you think they're there for your good? When they sat there and they pulled some sneaky trick on you, they pulled some scheme, they had you going along with the process. And worst case scenario, when they try to play you and keep you hooked, oh yeah, that's what Delilah did to Samson too. Delilah kept Samson hooked. Whatever it was, that soul tie, she was throwing her body to him. How people say these days, doing all sorts of monkey backflips on them. Just keeping him hooked, keeping him preoccupied, keeping him there with any means possible, doing everything she could to keep him interested and involved. So some of these individuals out here who are being influenced by entities, when they want to get information about you or even present information to you, that sounds legitimate, but they're not really trying to help you. They're just telling you information and wrong kind of things happen, then that's when you gotta cut it off. They don't want to change. They don't want to get right with you. They want to be weird on top of it too. That's when you gotta take some proactive action. Set those healthy boundaries. And those of you who know about prayer too, and authority that you have in the name of Jesus, here's a few steps you can take to address that matter. First and foremost, example prayers. In the name of Jesus, I cut the evil soul tie with that person that you name, for example, first name and last name, or their alias, whatever it may be, that you know of. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, I cut all soul ties with any diviners, those who work divination, witchcraft, the occult, especially with all familiars, including familiar spirits, and with any monitoring spirits. And I take away their legal holds, legal rights, legal grounds, loopholes, inroads, access away from them by the blood of the Lamb, the bruises of the blood of the Lamb, and the water poured out of the blood of the Lamb, in the name of Jesus. Number 3, in the name of Jesus, I cut off all mind ties to said individual, first name or last name, otherwise alias, and with any and all occult spirits, witchcraft spirits, familiar spirits, monitoring spirits, and any person, place, or thing being used by evil spirits to gather, use, and have access to my mind, my old nature, my flesh, my memories, my brain, and even other areas of my self and life in any shape, fashion, or form. And I cancel all their assignments, agreements, and contracts, legal holds, legal rights, legal grounds, and loopholes, and every other means they have to be around me, my life, environment, and to operate towards me in any shape, fashion, or form, away by the blood of the Lamb, bruises by the blood, the bruises of the blood of the Lamb, and the water pour out of the blood of the Lamb, in the name of Jesus. 4, for extra measure, I cut off all access to my old self, my old nature, my flesh, my mind, my brain, my memories, and all areas that pertains to me, people, place, and things, and others that I've had indirection away from all wicked spirits and those being influenced by them, by the blood of the Lamb, bruises of the blood of the Lamb, water pour of the blood of the Lamb. Also, I put a boundary, a barrier, and I close up all doorways, gateways, portals, inroads, windows, and every other access and entry point, known and unknown, away by the blood of the Lamb, bruises of the blood of the Lamb, water pour of the blood of the Lamb. Furthermore, I rebuke, cut off, sever, loose, and lift off all wicked spirits, including all familiar spirits, monitoring spirits, every occult and witchcraft spirit, and every other dark power and device, especially exploits and the ventures of the enemy, off of me in every shape, fashion, form. I command them to loose, to let go, to part, to flee, to never come back again, and to close behind them all gateways, windows, doorways, portals, and whatever means they came from behind them. And I seal those areas shut by the blood of the Lamb, bruises of the blood of the Lamb, bruises of the blood of the Lamb, and the water pour out with the blood of the Lamb, in the name of Jesus.